Hello and good evening, everyone.
Hello.
I didn't know we were supposed to bring weapons.
I can shorten it. Here we go. I brought my lightsaber.
Welcome, everyone. We've got a special Monday Night Live tonight. Nancy and I are going to be creating head-to-head. And once I switch over to my overhead camera, we'll talk about what we're working with. But hello, welcome, everyone. Hello. Lots of people watching. I'm so glad so many people are showing up. Okay, before we get started, let me show you this. The Monday Night Live deal, because it's a little bit different. It's all day today on our online store, and all day tomorrow on the online store, but also in store. And the deal is spend $50, get 15% off your order. Some exclusions apply. Now, this is what you need to write down. If you haven't placed an order already, the coupon code MNL15, use that at checkout. It's one use per customer over the 2 days. MNL15. So I don't have a link for you per se. Oh, did you write down, Nancy?
I did, because you never know.
Okay, you never know when you might need a good deal. That's right.
Right?
Let me get back to my screen here. I will drop. Lots of people saying hi to us, Nancy B.
Hello.
Okay, for those of you who are new, I just dropped the direct link to the online store. There's no direct link to the deal because it is available on everything except for a few exclusions. So you just put at least $50 worth of product in your cart, put in that coupon code MNL15, and you save at checkout. So let me flip over to my overhead camera. Let me fix my camera. There we go. Okay, let me get back. Here we go. The Monday Night Live deal. I already showed that to you, but there you go. Today and tomorrow. Oh, I love that. Julie called us the different demo or the different duo. We're different, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we are working with Arden Creative Studio. This is a brand new company. They have put out a new collection called Hidden Creek by Katie Pertiet Designs. Katie Pertiet from 49 Market. She left 49 Market and is now helping to build Arden Creative Studio. So this is the 12 by 12 pad. Now, Nancy and I shared this because there are 24 sheets in here, 2 of each design. So she and I divided it up. Look at this. It's gorgeous paper.
It is lovely paper. The only thing is, if you've worked with Katie Pertiet before, the first thing you're going to notice is the weight isn't the same as 49 Market.
No, but definitely not.
Still amazing.
Still great paper, but it's not that heavy weight paper that you expect from 49 Market. I would say this is probably at least 110. Like,
yeah,
it's heavy.
Normal. It's very normal cardstock. It's just not. It's not that original 49 Market. Like if you're going for your Katie Pertiet collections, it'll stand out side by side, but it's really good quality paper. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Before we continue on to me sharing what Nancy and I are working with, there is a giveaway, and because Nancy and I are both doing tonight, I decided to do 2 giveaways. Somebody is going to win the Fern stencil butter, and somebody is going to win the yellow ochre stencil butter. And the reason why I chose these is they go really well with this collection. They're absolutely gorgeous. 2 winners tonight. How do you win? Well, I currently have working in the background as we're live, the giveaway tool. It is now collecting all of your names. When you make a comment, it collects your name. And before we say goodbye, we're going to run that giveaway tool 2 times and give away 2 of these jars of the Crafters Workshop stencil butter. And I actually use those on both of my projects. Okay, so Nancy and I both are using the stencil also from this collection. It's called Timeless Quatrefoil. And I love this stencil.
I think it's a stunner. This is going to be a go-to for sure.
I love it. We also shared a pack of the enamel dots. I actually haven't used mine yet. We shared a pack of the ephemera. And I don't have my packaging. I think I maybe gave you my packaging. I'm not sure. But we're also sharing a pack of the laser cut elements. Now, one thing I love about these laser cut elements and what makes them different from 49 and Market is the imagery is on both sides. I don't think it is for 49 and Market, is it?
It is not. I noticed that last night.
Yeah.
I was so excited.
So it's on both sides. I was like, what? So if you don't like the orientation one way of a flower, you can just flip it over. So say you like this, it's like, oh, but I really wish it was the other side. I mean, boom, there you go. Different orientation.
Right?
So I love these, and I used a lot of these on my 2 projects. Okay, so now, do you have a finished project yet?
I don't, because I don't cheat.
Cheating. It's called preparation.
Oh, I'll show you what I did do in preparation. You go ahead and you show yours, but
okay. So this is a card I made. So I've die cut more pieces, so I can show you how I put this together. But it's a tunnel card. So I created this, and the reason why I created a tunnel card is because there's so much I love about this. I even finished the inside. So you get that tunnel look even when you open the card, and then when you close it. This is stencil butter on that background. Those are 2 colors that I really like. And then look, it's got the little wellies down there. It's got some of the ephemera. It's got some of the laser cuts. Absolutely love it. And then I just prep this because this is probably what I'll finish while Nancy's working on her project. This is my ledger journal, the new Dina Wakley ledger journal, and I started a background. But just look at the yumminess of that stencil. Oh, and I'll talk about that, how I did that a little bit later. But I'm going to turn it over to Nancy because you got some fun things to share, Nancy.
I do.
So there we go. Floor is yours, Nancy.
Awesome. Look at me go. All right. So I did get a little prep done. I didn't make my project. I thought we were supposed to do that while we were on screen.
We only have an hour, Nancy.
Okay, fine. I went and I collected my cardstock. So I basically pulled out a couple each of any cardstock that I thought would go with the line. Right? But the number one thing that I did to get ready for tonight is I went to Creative Scrapbooker magazine, and they have monthly sketch challenges. So on their Facebook group, it's called Creative Scrapbooker magazine sketchy group. We'll drop the link in the chat if we get a chance. Unfortunately, I can't link to the chat tonight, so I'll have to do it after, or maybe Julia can do it for me.
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Awesome. So I found this sketch challenge. This is not a VIP thing. This is for everybody. So I got myself a sketch, and then I even printed out a couple photos that would kind of go with the paper and with the sketch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create this scrapbook layout using this sketch online tonight. All right. Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the sketch. So if I'm being honest, like, sketches are great because they kind of take the paper out of it. So there's no personality in this sketch. I can bring whatever personality or paper to the sketch that I want, right? That's the beauty of sketches. The other thing with the sketch that some people don't really realize is I can do it this way, or I can do it this way, or I can do it this way. Like, right? You can totally play with your sketches. But to be honest, any layout can be a sketch. So I could take this layout and then go, okay, well, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos. It's got a circle, and then start putting a layout together, right? Anyway, so what am I going to do for these photos? So I got these photos from, we were at in the Oregon coast, and we were climbing this sand dune, and we made, I'm not loving this picture, but I'm using it anyway. We made sand angels in the snow. Okay. Sand. We were in the sand. And it calls for 3 photos. I'm not 100%. Some sketches are more detailed than others. They'll give you their actual layout. They'll tell you the actual size of the photos. So for me, I don't worry about that. They're a jumping off point. I can see that there's a photo here, and a photo here, a couple 2 or 3 different pattern papers. Let's go. Right? Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the Katie Pertiet papers and decide kind of what I think might look good with my photos. So I'm going to go with 3 different pattern papers. I think that one would be great. I want something like that on the bottom. Actually, I'm going to go with this one because the blue in our coats. I'm not putting a lot of deep thought into this, and I'm just going to go with that one. Done. Okay, so then what I can tell you is I would like a background to put it on. So sometimes your pattern paper is your base, sometimes sometimes your cardstock's your base. It just depends on how you like to roll. I'm going to go with cardstock this time. So I'm going to pick, kind of based on what I've picked and what I want to bring out of the photos, with the cardstock that I kind of like. So there's a couple of options. I could go light, which would kind of, that's one option. That's pretty cool. Or I could go, I'm off camera. Let me get myself up there. There we go. That's the first one I'm looking at. And I could go dark. Which would bring out the blue in our photos and the blue in, hard choices. I think I'm going to end up using both in their own way because I'm going to need photo mats, right? So I'm going to start with the back. Good idea, Jennifer. So for this one, when I was actually going through, Jennifer was asking if I could tell you the cardstock colors that go with the paper. Sure. So the light one I've picked out was called Coastal. These are all basil. This dark one is called Bahama. Other ones I chose for it. Now I found there was a lot of different greens that went with this collection. I didn't have any hard time finding any green, but I ended up settling on Nixon. And then I've grabbed Dark Craft, Avocado. See, look, even like, look at, there's 3 different greens right there. Capers. And then Mud Pie looks really good with it. And then, of course, black. I've talked about this a lot in Dynamic Duo, that if I'm going cropping or putting together a page kit for myself, I almost always grab myself a black. That will always be a go-to for a mat for me. It doesn't mean that I'm going to use it, but if I have it and nothing else is working, it will work. Okay, so I got my paper trimmer. I've already got my photos cropped the way I want them. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to get my papers ready, which is to take off these UPC codes. So this is going to be my base.
Nancy?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you mind if I just pop in really quick, show a thing while you're doing your trimming?
Please do.
Oh, Joanne has another question about the cardstock. Is it smooth or textured?
Okay, I have a variety. Most of mine is textured. Of the colors that I mentioned, I think everything except blackberry swirl, which is my black, dark craft, were textured. Yeah, so blackberry swirl, dark craft were smooth. Everything else was a textured.
Okay, cool. Okay, so on the background of my card, I was just going to show you quickly how I made that, added these colors. So I've got an A2 panel of, it's not the Vicky Bouton. I'm pretty sure it's just 110-pound hammer mill, so it's really smooth. I've taken a couple little dabs of 2 colors of stencil butter. I've got Dune and Seafoam. So I just took my little spatula, took a couple out, and then I've got 2 brushes that I dipped in water. So I wanted it kind of like really runny. I'm almost going to watercolor it on. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start swiping my stencil butter across my background. So the top part I'm doing in the Seafoam. Really quick, not really doing a whole heck of a lot of fancy things. Now I'm going to pick up the Dune and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to overlap. So I'm actually trying to create, the scene I'm trying to create is a bit like earth and sky. That's sort of the look I was going for. So once I get my first one down, I'm going to go back and do a second layer. I'm not even going to dry it. I'm just going to go back in and do a second layer of that stencil butter, and it will just add another layer and it'll just make those colors even a little bit richer. So add a little bit more of the Seafoam and then come down here and add a little bit more of the Dune. Again, I'm overlapping. So because I added water to these, they are a little bit translucent. So right in the middle where I overlap them, because this is yellow and this is blue, you are going to get a little bit of green, but that works with kind of the earth and sky that I'm trying to create. So that's how I created my background for my card. Super simple, really easy, just another fantastic way to use your stencil butters. So I'm going to set that aside and clean my brushes. So what are you up to, Nancy?
Well, I took a look at my sketch and it's got 3 different pattern papers, but there's no measurement. So I kind of got to guess. So this one, the top one looks about half of a layout. And then the bottom 2 would be like, if you think a 12 by 12 page, there's like half of it has 1 pattern paper. The second half has 2 pattern papers. So probably like a 4 and a 2. But then they've got these strips in between, and I'm going to want to show a border around the outside, right? So I'm kind of guesstimating based on the sketch how I want to cut my paper and what orientation I want it. So I have the 3 that I picked. I want this one, I thought would be really good. This bottom would be really good as the center stripe. And then I thought the dots would be really nice for the bottom stripe. And then I'm picking this one. It's got some green and gray and brown in it. And the reason I kind of picked it was, if you look really close at some of the pictures, is it's got that obvious gray sand look, but then it's got that scrub brush green look in there. So that's kind of what my thinking was on that. So now I'm just kind of to a degree cutting them roughly and then knowing that I'm probably going to have to do some trimming. So I've got the top piece is, like I said, it would be about 6 inches. So I'm just noticing I didn't get the UPC strip off all the way. So I want to Give that another trim. So I'm going to put that there. Now at this point, I'm actually fully covering up the background, but I'm going to trim again. I'm going to come back and trim some more. I'm still designing and thinking, right? So I want this one to be about 4 inches off the bottom. So I'll go ahead and do that.
So while you're doing that, I just had a question from Kim. She's wanting to know which brushes I used. So when I'm doing kind of a wash on paper like that, I like to use a flat brush. It just covers a lot more space in a shorter amount of time. And these are new ones we got. These are the Yasutomo flat fusion brushes. We do sell them in the 4-pack. They're really nice. I really love them. But I've also for years have used the Ranger set. I believe it's 7 brushes and it's a mix of flat and round. So, and they're a fabulous price. So either the Ranger artist set of 7 brushes, but lately I've just fallen in love with this Yasutomo Fusion flathead brushes. So we do sell the 4-pack. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, so now I'm actually getting to a point of I'm started. I can't tell you, if I'm being honest, how close I'm going to stick to this sketch. I always use them as a jumping off point.
Kathy also said the Dina flat brush is good. And it is really good. And I have those. I find the bristles are a little bit harder. But I also am using these dilutions brushes too a lot. Sorry, Nancy, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that needed to be interrupted. That's good. Good info about the brushes.
And they're wooden handles, not plastic. Somebody else is asking.
Sweet. Okay. So I don't want to cover up the entire background. I want some of the background to show through. The other thing I'm noticing is on the sketch, actually, itself, it has the photo oriented above the second half. I might not stick with that. I kind of like it down a little bit more. We'll see. So at this point, I'm going to probably just start going and letting my creativity take over and decide how I want this to go. So what I want a border around the outside, and then I want each of these stripes to have a little bit of room in between. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start by taking a 1/4 inch strip off of each one, and just that's a good start. See how it goes. I don't want to take off too much.
It's always best to err on the side of too little because you can't attach the paper back once you've cut it off, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, you can sort of, but it's not going to be the same.
No, it changes things.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry, I don't know who said this. It was earlier, and I had mentioned that my card is a tunnel card. I would say it's a fairly simple tunnel card. I've seen other tunnel cards that are way more elaborate than this. But what I mean by tunnel card is I've created a scene on the front, and then you look through the tunnel to the scene in there. So, and I've even done this little scene on the back too. So I've created, and it is a dimensional card. I have used my foam in there to pop that up. So I was going to next show you how I cut a hole in my card front and a hole in my card base so they line up. And I made mistakes. So I'm going to tell you how to do it so you don't get frustrated. Because I'm sure there's easier ways to do it, but this is how I like to do it. So I'm using the Prism Studio stitch circles. I love the stitched edge. It's just really great. So I'm using the stitch circles. And if you're wondering what I'm storing these in, these are the, oh, sorry, I didn't mute my phone. Let me turn that off. This is the craft stacks. And we have the magnetic inserts for the craft stacks. So all of my nesting dies are in here, mostly just the Prism Studio, but I got I have a couple of the Spellbinders ones. So I've even got it labeled. I've put nesting dies on there. So when I go to my shelf, I know exactly where all my nesting dies are, because I am not the most organized person, but if I can just be a little bit organized. I probably just said I'm not the most organized person, and I'm pretty sure, because I think Heather's here watching, I'm sure her eye twitched when I said that, because she knows I'm not an organized person, or at least not as organized as her. Okay, so I'm taking one of my circles. Now, before I get too far, where did I put those other pieces that I cut? Hang on. Okay, so out of the paper, because I want pattern paper on either side of my hole that I'm going to create in my card, I used 2 of the circle dies to create the frame. So this die that I used is actually the one in between the next 2. So here, let me hold that up. So the one I'm going to cut the hole in my card is this one, the middle one. And then I use this one smaller and then one bigger to cut my frame. So when I go to assemble, you will, it'll make more sense. But I just wanted to show that I cut these out of the paper from the collection. People are saying they want to see more demos like this, Nancy.
I think it could be really fun. I'm in.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about sharing the spotlight. I'm kidding. I am totally kidding. I am absolutely okay.
I'm like, that does not sound like you.
Okay, so this is what I cut out of my card. Now I'm going to save this. I saved all of the other little bits, and these are actually going to be used on my art journal page. So I am saving all of these circles, and these will be incorporated. So those are not garbage. No, no, no. Those are going to be used. All right, so I'm going to just peel off this paint, or sorry, the tape. And I'm going to show you how I created, where did my base go? Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's my card base. Already done. There you go. It's already there. So I'm actually going to place my paper on. And then the die that I used to cut out is actually going to nest right in there. So now I can peel this off and use tape and tape that right down onto my card base, just like so. So I placed that on, I put the die on, it fits right in, it nests in there, and then now I can take that off. And now this is a perfect placement. So when I put this on the front of my card, it is going to be in the perfect spot. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to die cut this. So I'm going to hand you back over to Nancy for a minute. Take it over, Nancy.
Sounds great. So each of the 3 background pieces that I have now trimmed to fit my background the way that I like. And what I discovered really quickly was by cutting a 1/4 inch off of each lengthwise, I had enough top to bottom and middle between with what that trimmed. Now all I needed to do is just take off a 1/2 inch off of the sides to kind of get the full border. So that ended up, I was really happy with that. I also knew the size of my photos, so I went ahead and I cut that basil coastal, and now I'm just edge distressing all of it. I think edge distressing really suits this layout. We were in the sand. We had sand in every crevice. So, I mean, and it was outdoors and earthy, natural, fun. So I think a little grunge suits this really well. So I'm just using my Tim Holtz edge distressing tool to kind of add some grunge and grit to the side. I did it with my pattern paper. I'm doing it on this. And what I may do, I haven't decided, and it may be something I do later off camera, because I'd rather get to some of my thoughts about my decorating and using the ephemera. But I may even take a sanding block and sand the edges of my photos. So yeah, so knowing my photos, I went very tight. So these are like, instead of like most of my mats, I do 4 1/4. Like, so if it's a 4x6 photo, I add a 1/4 inch and then I get a nice border. If I want to tighten that up, I'll go 4 1/8, or even sometimes I'll even kind of put it in my trimmer and put it at 4 1/4 and then just kind of slide it over just a smidge, just to tighten up that mat a bit. And this is one of those times when you might, just kind of hold your tongue the right way and hope for the best. But anyway, so keep
sorry, Crystal just said that I think the distress tool is one of the oldest working tools in my stash. Yeah, I have one of the old ones. The one with the red center. I've had this for years and years and years.
I think I keep losing them because suddenly I have 3.
Oh.
And then every once in a while I have none. So let's be real. All right. So the next thing that I kind of wanted to do was bring in, so I'm leaning towards, so the actual sketch had it kind of like that. I'm not loving that for where I'm going now. I do have a slight photo size change. I think she was using smaller photos, and maybe even a little bit my aesthetic. I like things a little bit more kind of lined up and balanced. So I'm just going to do it more like this now instead of, but I mean, I definitely used the sketch to get started and to pick out my paper. So there we go. But next I'm going to bring in this, the Katie Pertiet stencil, and see how I can work this in to the background a little bit more. And show you how you can use some of your favorite mixed media. So I did pick out a handful of distressed oxides that I thought would look good with this particular layout. So the one that I want to try, I think that would look really good, is the Uncharted Mariner. Actually, Ice Spruce might also look good. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a little bit of, I got this scrap here. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to blend some on a paper to the side here and see what I like better. I can hold it up to my layout and decide. This one's nice.
Dawn, sorry, Nancy, didn't mean to interrupt. Dawn had a really good comment that she struggles to cut up the pretty paper.
Okay. I have a couple rules about paper.
I think it's good that we're working side by side, because I am also cutting up paper. So you could have scraps from a layout 100%. That you could then turn around and use on a card. So you're not really wasting anything.
Absolutely. The other thing is what I will do, and maybe it's the hoarder in me, is when I buy paper for myself, I usually buy 2 of every design. That way, when I especially when it's double-sided, I don't feel like I have to choose between one side or the other. I've got them both. And then if I get chopping, I have a backup. But I'm just going to say something that I've learned for being in this industry all this time. So my husband and I got married in 97. We got my first layout was of my dog, my puppy, that we bought after we got married in about 97. So I've been scrapbooking since 1997. I've discovered if I don't chop up the paper, I end up with too much paper. So
that's the truth.
Right. So I've started to get very serious about chopping the paper, but it takes a while. It takes a bit of practice and trust in yourself that you're going to be fine. It's going to work. I still haven't picked what color I want. I think I'm going to start with the blue up here. And I'm just going to add just a smidgen of the stenciling, just to add a little something something. It'll kind of, my plan is that when my photo's here, it'll kind of point to the photo in a way. I don't know. I can't, words. It'll help anchor the photo. Haha.
Ah, there's the word.
But I think what you'll discover is, look, see, it's not critical to the layout that I did that. It just adds a little, first off, it's hella fun to play with your stuff, right? And secondly, I get to kind of bring my own little jazz to the page. Okay.
Okay, so for my card, I took one of the other, it's not the same as this one, they are different, but I took another pattern out of the pattern paper pack and I cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. So I have a 1/4 inch all the way around. So that's the inside of my card. And in the paper pack, there is a sheet. Let me see if I've got it handy here. I would say it would be their cut apart sheet. Where did I put it? Oh my gosh, when you're looking for something, you can't find it. Here it is. So this is the cut apart sheet. So they're all 2 by 3. So on my original card here, this was one of the cards. And I took one of the circle dies. It was quite a bit smaller than what I cut here. And I cut out the sentiment from that cut apart page. And that's what I stuck in there. And it is popped up. Can you see? There is pop dots under there. So it is popped up. And it's almost the same height as the front of my card because I did use pop dots on it. So I did find another card on here. I found a die that could cut out the sentiment, which is this one here. And I believe I had to cut it a little. Yeah, I did. I had to cut it a little bit bigger to get all the words in, but that's fine. But it is going to sit in my little porthole of my card. And I am using quite a bit of pop dots on this. Not going to lie. You're doing lots of sanding there, Nancy.
Well, now I'm edge inking. So I did the edge distressing with the tool, and I decided that because I did the stenciling, I kind of wanted to bring some of that color into, well, everything essentially, I guess, because I edge inked my photo mats, and now I'm edge inking all of the pattern pieces that I've already edge distressed. You certainly don't have to do both, but again, fun. All right. So I'm sort of thinking ahead a little bit that I'm going to probably want to have some journaling in the title, but I've also got this fabulous stash of awesomeness from the ephemera and laser cuts. So I can start kind of playing around, adding these in. I love these Arden, what is it, Arden Creek?
Arden Creative Studio. It's Hidden Creek is the collection. It's okay.
What? I don't mind putting a little bit of ephemera across my photo. Sometimes you don't cover up the best part of the photo. I'm not going to put it on his face or anything, but I have no problem adding a little bit of something over a photo. I'll start layering in just some pieces and creating a little bit of a collage cluster, which I always love to do. There's always these, which you can use as, maybe I'll put that down there and that can become my journaling block. If I wanted to.
That came out of the ephemera pack, right?
It sure did.
Yeah. The ephemera pack that Katie designs, there's so much in them.
Yeah. So I've got this Spellbinder Speech Bubble Sentiment Stamp set. And so the set is like this, but I'm just going to use the stamp. There's this this graph paper. So if you're into any sort of art journaling or bullet journaling or whatever, you'll see this sort of thing. And you know what so I'm just going to add to this. I'm going to commit it to being a journaling block.
Making the commitment, are you, Nancy?
I am. I'm going in by adding that, and now I can write on there, and it looks like I'm supposed to write on there. I don't know if you can see that very well. The light's kind of eh.
I like using the journaling blocks from collections, the little journaling tags or whatever, because it just makes everything seem so cohesive.
It really does. And then one thing I find though is sometimes when they come in the pack, I don't know. I don't know if I just don't know how to leave well enough alone. I always need to stamp or do some inking or something to them, just to jazz them.
So I'm just going to pull this back in. Going back to this cut apart page, this also has, it has probably half of them would have like a sentiment on it, but then it's got these 2 4x6s right in the middle that have imagery but space for journaling. So these are great as well for photo mats, but you can also use a die and cut it down. Like if you want to use that for a journaling block, then at least you have the opportunity. And I am trying to get my white. I need something dark for it to focus on. There we go. Even the cut aparts, even though they're 2x3 or 4x6 or whatever, you don't have to leave them that size. You can cut them down. You can die cut them. You can die cut words out of them. The cut apart pages are just so versatile for so many different ways. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to my card. I'm going to just show you a couple of steps I did while Nancy was working on her art journal page. Here we go. So I stuck my sentiment in there. It is popped up on 3D foam, just a little bit. So I put that in. I put it in while my card was closed. So that gave me a really easy way to center it in there. And then this is the front of my card. I added my little frame around my circle. I have put 3D foam on the back of that. And now this is going to go on the front of my card. And I'm going to open it up because I find this, the fold line makes it easier for me to line up. And I'm sorry if my head's in the way, but I need to, there we go. So now we've got that lined up. So you can see in here, you can see that paper. I was actually going to leave my card and then I opened it up and I was like, no, it seems unfinished, but I'm going to finish that in a moment. So there's the front of my card right now. And now I'm just going to go through all of the gorgeous ephemera and pick out a few pieces to decorate the front of my card. No, I'm not, because I forgot. On this one, I'm actually not going to do it on this because I will never, I won't have time to let it dry and finish the card. But on this one, I took the stencil and I used the sand dune stencil butter and put it through the stencil. So it's just one of these water, one of the colors I washed across the front, and I put it through the stencil. I'm not going to do that tonight because it'll take too long to dry and I won't be able to finish my card. But just so you know, that's what I did on the original. So I'm just going to create, and another thing I like when you're using with these with tunnel cards, because they're on both sides, I can layer it over top, and then when I open my card, you're not going to get white on the background. You're going to be able to see it on the background, which I absolutely love, love, love. I'm not going to add any dimension to these I'm putting on the front because I've already added quite a bit of dimension on my other elements. So if I do want to pop this in the mail, I don't want it to be too thick. And I just remembered I put glue on the wrong areas. But look, even just putting that little bench there, look how cute that is. Add some greenery to that. What else do I want to add? Oh, we got a little squirrel. Chipmunk. Maybe he's a chipmunk. I don't know. Chipmunk, I think.
Yeah, I was looking at him too, trying to.
I think he's a chipmunk.
Chipmunk.
He's going to sit there right on that bench. Look at how cute that is. Oh, my word. Now, this is another thing I see people struggle with this ephemera. They think they have to use the entire thing. What? I like to call it cannibalizing. So if I just want the flowers, I just rip the flowers off.
Heck
some people are like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? It's like, well, I only want the flowers. I don't need everything else. So I'll just tear the flowers off and just use the flowers.
Okay, let's be real. I've torn my laser cuts out and they are easy to get out, but sometimes I've just ended up with the flower because I'm a little too excited.
Yeah, exactly. I'm okay. What is the deal with those glue guns? Oh, so this is the My Sweet Petunia glue press. I love, oh, look, Nancy has hers too. I love it. When you buy it, it actually comes with the base. This is the base it sits in. It sits right there. There you go. So you never use the lid of it. I have left my glue in here for like a week without the lid on, and I can still come and squeeze it, and it's not stuck or anything. But if it does get a little clogged, I just use my lid and stick that needle in there and loosen it up. It comes with a full bottle of Nuvo glue, and then it comes with an empty one, and it comes with 2 lids. One like a really thin, what do you call it, Nancy? My brain just absolutely checked out.
Nib?
And yeah, the nib on it. It comes with one that's fine point, and then one that's a little thicker.
Right.
We're currently out of these. I am ordering them probably in the next week or 2. The thing is they come with Nuvo glue, and Nuvo glue doesn't like cold weather. And I don't know if you know this, but in Canada over the winter, it tends to get cold. And one year we ordered these, and all the glue and every single one ruined. So I never order these over the winter anymore. So I'm just waiting until our overnight temperatures kind of stabilize a little bit. So then I can order them again, but they should be on order here pretty soon. We should have them in time for Carnival. Okay, so I've set up my little vignette down here, and I'm going to start thinking about what I want to put on the inside. So I love this little fern leaf. That's going to look really good. So that's going to stick in here. And again, I love that these are 2-sided. It made me so happy when I realized that, because I get the imagery on both sides. That's perfect. And then maybe I'll stick one more. Love that. What are you working on, Nancy B? It looks like your layout's starting to come together.
It is. So I basically got to a point where I felt like I really needed to get the paper and the pictures anchored down. So the one thing that I do to help myself, because I know that I still want to do more ephemera layering in this, is I will only put adhesive towards the center. So now I've got all this room around my paper or my picture that I can still tuck things in behind. So if I wanted to do that, it's open for me, right? So I'm just kind of playing around with that a little bit. Yeah, it's coming together pretty close here. If I know for sure something is where I want it, then I glue it in.
Sometimes that's the hardest thing, is trying to commit stuff to the page.
Right. So then I will start with what I know for sure. So I knew I wanted that happier than ever there, so put it there, right? I might still be guessing about other things, but at least I knew that one. All right. I did have this little cluster that I was working on before. It did get a little messed up when I moved it, but I think we're good. This is when I start bringing in pop dots and foam tape to lift things off the page a little bit. I tend not to do a flat page. I'm just going to say it. But if you get, I know particularly the We Are Memory Keepers page protectors, they have plenty of room for a little extra bulk. So you may not want to like have 3 layers, but a couple layers is always good. And there's lots of room. And the shadows that it casts and the interest that it adds is, it's subtle, but really, really awesome.
Okay, so I'm now really focusing on the inside of my tunnel card, trying to figure out placement and just kind of placing it around the circle. So, and then I keep closing it because I want to make sure I like that. So I'm really liking that. I don't think I'm going to add any more there because things are going to start getting a little bit busy. But on my, behind my sentiment here, I do want to take, what else do I have here? There's so much, Nancy. There's so much here. I could make like 1,000 cards with all this stuff. So
I could keep going. I have
every time
you told me.
Every time I lift something up, I'm like, ooh, I need to use that.
We didn't use that yet. Oh no.
Oh, I haven't used that. Oh my gosh. So yeah. I'm just sticking in just a few things just underneath my sentiment, just to add a little bit more visual interest. There we go. I'm liking that. Now on the center here on the, where'd my other thing go? Here we go. So I'm going to add that around there, and it's just going to kind of anchor that. So this isn't all exposed, because really that doesn't look very pretty. But I do know that I need to take that off there. Okay, so I'm just going to take this. I'm going to add a bit of glue around there. There we go. Now, the reason why I am using glue is because it gives me some wiggle room. So if I don't get the placement right, I can just shimmy it over just a little bit. And there we go. Now, I do regret not doing some of the stenciling on there, but again, because it was stencil, the stencil butter that I used, I knew it wouldn't have time to dry. But this is the original card that I made. You can see that. Here's the inside. Here's the inside of the front of the card. And then here's the one I just did. Like I said, if I would have had a little bit more drying time, I probably would have added some stenciling, but I might still do that off camera. I might add a little bit of it down here because this seems very empty. I could probably put on maybe a little bit more ephemera or some of the enamel dots, but I really feel like the stenciling will look really nice. Now, I'm going to go back to my journal because I did see, and I'm sorry I don't remember who said it. Somebody was asking me how I created this background. So you can dry stencil butter with a heat tool. I just didn't want the noise on here. It will bubble, but you know, I'm not opposed to bubbling my butter. It's one of the things I like. Oh, Nancy,
Yeah.
I want you to talk about the title that you're using because that's another really good thing that's in those ephemera packs.
Oh yeah, scrapbookers know this, that you just, if I write, I'm doing a book on the Oregon coast, camping on the Oregon coast. There's only so many times I can write Oregon coast, like, oh my God. So what I love about these packages is they come up with these great titles. So like this one was More Wonder. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's the one. And now I can tell the story in the journaling that we were on the Oregon coast. We climbed the sand dunes and made sand angels. My husband was horrified. My kids were thrilled. You know, I can talk about that sort of stuff.
And here's some that I just took out of what I had. So they're great, easy titles.
I got Wander and Wonder. I actually had a hard time choosing between Wander and Wonder. Then I thought, you know, More Wonder works for this one, but I also liked the brown. So they were close enough for me to get to choose, but so now I've just got little bits and pieces. I can just, you know, if I want to add a butterfly, oh, that looks really good. Huh.
Oh, that orange pops off of there so nice.
Didn't that? That was like blammo.
Okay, there it is. Dana, I think you said it earlier. How to break the page. So this is the new Dina Wakley journal. So the pages are made to look like an old ledger. That's why it's called the ledger journal. So you see pages that have stuff like this on it. Some people can find them. You know, normally I start with the blank page too, but I love this. And you can still see some of that ledger peeking through, but I did cover a lot of it up. So I'll just show you how I did this. And I'm actually going to flip over. So this is what I started with. It had writing on both sides. The first thing I did was I started with some gesso and dry brushes. I worked with dry brushes. So let me grab my brush. Going to grab some gesso. So I've got a brush. I've got some gesso. And I am just going to go along. I'm not trying to cover stuff up. I don't want to make it disappear. But what I'm trying to do is push it to the background a little bit. I want to still see it. I still want to know it's there. I just don't want it to be the focal point. So you can see I'm not adding a ton of gesso. I'm dry brushing it on, up and down. Some people like to go, you know, left to right, and that's fine too. I like the look of up to down, but that's all personal preference.
100%.
Okay, so that's me. Yes, Kim, same flat brush as before. So that's all I did to start. So it's not like I did a ton of gesso and covered up the page. Just trying to break it up. I'm trying to push some back. I'm trying to leave some exposed. That's basically all I'm doing. Okay, so let me just put that brush in water. So I'm basically done with my gesso. The next thing I did, I'm trying to tell myself, don't use the stencil butters that you're using as a going giveaway. That would be
Trying to
terrible.
take those away.
I'm going to set those way off to the side so I'm not tempted. Okay, so I'm going to bring in these 3 colors of stencil butters: Seafoam, a Dune, which these are the 2 I used on my card front. And then this time I'm going to add in Fern, which is the darker green. And like my card, I'm going to brush it on, like water brush it on. There, I'm not going to use straight out of the jar. So I'm just going to grab my spatula. I'm going to grab out some of each color. So there's my Seafoam. Grab out a bit of Sand Dune.
Did you say Sand Dune?
Oh, Dune. It's not Sand Dune. The Sand Dunes. Look at that. The same yet different.
Same but different.
Okay, so I've got my 3 colors of my stencil butter. I'm going to take my spray bottle. Just going to spray a bit of water on those. I'm not trying to drown them, just adding a little bit of water. I'm going to start with Sand Dune. Just going to dip my brush in that. Now with this one, I actually didn't change brushes in between colors. I didn't use different brushes like I did on my card because I wanted the colors to stay separate. So now I'm just brushing on some of the Sand Dune. I'm going to leave some Sand Dune to use at the end because if I get a color that's too dark, I can put Sand Dune over top. There we go, a little bit in there. Let's go to our Seafoam. So you can see I did not wash my brush. Did not do that. And again, I'm not trying to cover everything up. I'm just trying to create a really nice background. So there we go. Loving that. Let's do some in the middle. So my page looks like it flows all the way across. I'm going over top of gesso. I'm putting it over top of the dune that I just did in some parts. There we go. Now this is my darkest color. This fern is my darkest color. So I'm going to want to be a little bit more careful with that one. And if I get too much in one area, all I have to do is maybe bring in a baby wipe and wipe a little bit of it back. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to be a little bit lighter handed next time. I've been doing longer strokes. Now I think I'm going to come in and do some lighter strokes along the edge. Some shorter strokes, I mean. Shorter strokes along the edge there. Add a little bit more of that fern, looking a little dark. So I'm going to come in with my baby wipe and try and kind of spread that out a little bit. That looks better. Do the same here. Now, because of this color, I'm actually going to come and do just a little bit of the left and right down in some of these corners. Just to kind of frame it a little bit. Nothing too crazy. There we go. I like it. So normally I don't wipe these up. Normally I will use them on something else, but for the sake of time, we're going to be wiping that up. So there is the background of my page. There you go. And I love the stencil butters because you get kind of this shiny sheen to it. It's actually really cool. What you up to, Nancy B?
I think I'm done.
What?
Well,
that's a gorgeous page. Let me solo shot you so we get to see it up close.
There it is.
Love.
I mean, really, the ephemera. I mean, I've got my title. I mean, all the things that I get hung up on that make me not finish a page are done. I got beautiful ephemera. I've got a title. I've even done my journaling that tells the story. A couple things I didn't mention was I really love, especially for these natural botanical sort of pages, I love stapling in some ephemera. So I actually stapled right here, right there. I had a couple scraps from when I trimmed down the paper. I actually just flipped it, used the other side and stapled it down just for a little color. Stapled down some more ephemera there. I mean, sure, I could keep going, but I feel it's done.
I noticed that your photos are only tacked down in the middle, and I love doing that too, because that gives you lots of opportunity if you want to continue tucking things in behind those photos.
100%.
Gives you a lot of opportunity to do that.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. That people are saying the title cluster is gorgeous. I have to agree.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this page, and it just started from a sketch. I mean, the only thing the stuff, I mean, I used laser cuts, I used the stencil, I used the paper. I mean, the only thing I didn't use was these, mostly because I'm not feeling it for this page, but I mean, super easy to add. I could, you know, put them on the corners of the photos, around my ephemera cluster, even just sometimes I'll just put, if I have a strip that's kind of bland, I'll just boop, 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 put 3. I love 3s. So I'll, you know, I could add that in. I'm not going to this time. I don't think so. I'm pretty happy with this right now.
Great layout.
Sometimes you just know you're done, you know?
And sometimes it's best to walk away.
Right. So I may come back and be like, oh, you know what? That really does need those dots. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to show on my original journal page here. Let me flip back this one where I use the stencil. I'm going to tell you how I created that because it wasn't green stencil paste and I didn't paint it. What I did is I used, and you can use any texture paste, but I used the Light and Fluffy from TCW, the Crafters Workshop. Put some on my work surface here, and then I took some of the Fern stencil butter. Now let me wipe that off because I don't want to contaminate my stencil butter. So I took some stencil butter, not a lot, I don't know, maybe size of a quarter. Put that on there. And I mixed my Light and Fluffy texture paste with my stencil butter to now tint my texture paste. So there it is. It's all tinted. It's very nice. I'm going to just pick that up on the back of my palette knife. And I'm just going to start applying it through my stencil. There we go. So you can see that there. Look how gorgeous that is. Oh, my word.
Oh, beautiful.
I just love stencils. Stencils are just, oh, they just bring me such joy. Let me put a little bit more here. Try and come up this edge a little bit. Now, like Nancy said, she likes working in 3s. I also like working in 3s. I'm going to try and get this all on screen here. So you can see how I've got 3 going together here. I've also created a triangle. So you can see my triangle is now there. Triangles, 3s, odd numbers, those are very pleasing to the eye. So I'm probably going to stop there. If I did want to add in a little bit more just to kind of help this a little bit, is I might just come up here at the very top edge and just add a little bit, just something. Doesn't have to be a lot, but there you go. And look at that. Look at when I turn that in the light. Look how shiny that page is already.
That's so fun.
It is fun. So yeah, if you have stencil butters, and it doesn't have to be a stencil butter, maybe you've got, maybe you've got Simon Hurley's solar paste, or maybe you've got, something else. You can mix them with another paste. I'm sorry, I need to just get out. Yes, or mist with water and set with a baby wipe till you can. Oh, was somebody asking about my, yeah. See, look, Heather is not even here, and she's telling me to clean up my stuff. The 10-second tidy. That's Heather's rule. Yeah. So when I do, I actually, my craft room is very close to a bathroom. So I usually run in the bathroom and we'll wash it, but I'm not going to do that because I'm wearing a microphone and you'll hear me in the bathroom and that would be just weird. So what I usually do when I'm on screen is I'll take water and I'll spray it really good, like basically soak it with water. There we go. And then I'll put it between paper towels. And then usually after my live, I'll go clean it. But it's pretty easy once you put it between paper towels and cover it in water to just give it a really good wipe. And then it's usually pretty clean. I'm going to hold it up to the camera. Proof of cleanliness for Heather. There, Heather, see it's clean. Oh, there is no way to revive dried up paste, Suzanne. There is no way to do it. No, you would think there would be, but there isn't. And I've actually asked Jamie from the Crafters Workshop. Now, I will give you a hint. I've had these for a long time. And I find if I store them upside down, if I store them in my drawer like this, I haven't had a problem with them drying out. Now, we also sell the tactical rubber bands, and Tim Holtz swears by them. You can put them around your jars and it seals them. So we do sell the tactical rubber bands. I just got 500 more in stock today, so they're in the online store. But the tactical rubber band will go on your lid in between that gap, and Tim Holtz swears by that. But I just store mine like this. And I went through my drawer yesterday I've got a drawer that's just paste, and some of them I haven't used in a long time. I had to throw out all my Prima and all of my Stamperia because they were all dry, but all of my stencil butters, absolutely fine. I opened every single one and they were 100%. All perfect. So 100%. I store mine like this.
Same experience here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. My Prima, all garbage. My Stamperia, all garbage, but my Ranger and my stencil butter is still perfect. Okay. Well, I think I'm done. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this page because this is all still wet. But I think what I will do is I will finish this page and take a picture. I'm going to have to wait for it to dry. I probably won't have a chance to finish it until Wednesday. Yeah, I only use stencil butters. Now, Heather's not here, but Heather loves Simon's paste, the Solars, the Lunars, the what are the other ones? Solar, Lunar. I thought there was 3. Astro paste. And Heather, any problem with those? Yep, press and seal also works really good. Yep, press and seal, absolutely. Yep. I haven't worked with them a whole heck of a lot or had any for any extended period of time. But yeah, I love the stencil butters, and Heather loves Simon's paste. They're all absolutely amazing. Okay. Before we sign off for tonight, don't forget we've got our giveaways. Oh, Wendy Hillman also uses the press and seal. Yep, absolutely. I think that's a Jennifer McGuire thing. I think that's one thing that she says. Okay, now Brianna has been doing the giveaway tool for me on the screen. So give me a moment to figure out how to do the giveaway. Hang on. Nancy, can you see the giveaway tool on the screen?
No.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Hang on.
You have to take me off, maybe?
I don't know. Why is Brianna not here? How about now?
I see a blue screen.
Well, Brianna's not here to help me. Oh, my word. Okay, let me try it again. Now? Why does it keep going away? Can you see it now?
No.
Okay, I'm going to try one more thing. Okay. Anything?
No.
You know, this is why Brianna can't leave me alone. Oh, do you know what? Hang on. Now?
There it is.
Yay, I figured it out.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, so I can't see the screen, so we're going to do 2 draws. So the first one, somebody is going to get the Fern stencil butter, which is one that I used tonight. It's rolling through the names. Who is the winner of the Fern? Jean Bodnar-Chuck.
Yep.
Okay, hang on. I got to write that down. Jean Bodnar-Chuck. Got it. Okay, let's run her again. And the yellow ochre stencil butter. Dana Lynn Connolly. Dana Connolly will win the ochre. There you go. Thank you so much, everyone. Stop sharing the screen. I'm going to move up to my front camera. There we go. I'm back. Okay, so our 2 winners, Jean Bodnar-Chuck, you've won the Fern stencil butter. Dana Connolly, you've won the yellow ochre. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining Nancy and I tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. We've gone a little bit over time, but that's all right. We had a lot to talk about, right, Nancy?
You betcha.
Lots to talk about. So if you're wanting to watch this live again, you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel. You can also see previous episodes of Monday Night Live and all the previous episodes of the Dynamic Duo. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. And I'll be back in 2 weeks. Bye, Nancy. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me.